For these 6 influencers, the pursuit of viral fame became a deadly obsession. From extreme stunts to dangerous challenges, they pushed the boundaries of entertainment. These are the stories of influencers whose final videos captured more than they ever intended. It was October 15th, 2016, and the abandoned industrial district of Detroit stretched for miles under the gray autumn sky, its empty warehouses and crumbling factories serving as a playground for urban explorers and thrill seekers. The economic collapse had left entire city blocks deserted, creating a post-apocalyptic landscape that attracted photographers, artists, and content creators seeking dramatic backdrops for their work. Michelle Morrison adjusted his GoPro chest mount as he surveyed the gap between 2 warehouse buildings, his heart racing with the familiar mixture of fear and excitement that had made him famous. At 23, the YouTube content creator had built a modest following through his No Fear Friday series, where he filmed risky parkour stunts in abandoned buildings around Detroit. The clips drew a small but loyal audience who admired his nerve and urban aesthetic. Michelle's rise began a couple of years earlier, when one of his rooftop videos unexpectedly went semi-viral on social media, earning him a burst of new followers and local attention. The brief success pushed him to chase bigger thrills to hold on to that audience. It wasn't about money. His videos brought in little more than the occasional free gear and online praise. But for Michelle, the attention was addictive. His girlfriend Emma had begged him to stop the dangerous content, and his parents had threatened to cut off contact if he continued risking his life for views. But Michelle was hooked on both the adrenaline rush and the recognition that came with his extreme videos. The pressure to create increasingly spectacular content had led Michelle to scout the abandoned Packard plant for weeks, measuring distances and planning camera angles for what he intended to be his biggest stunt yet. The gap between the 2 warehouse buildings measured exactly 15 feet, a distance that would require perfect timing and maximum speed to clear safely. That afternoon, Michelle had set up multiple cameras around the rooftop to capture different angles of his attempted jump, including a live stream setup that would broadcast the stunt to his audience in real time. 1,000 viewers had tuned in to watch, drawn by Michelle's promotion of the dangerous stunt on social media throughout the week. Michelle began his live stream by hyping up the danger of the stunt, walking his viewers through the setup and explaining the risks involved in the 15-foot jump between buildings, 4 stories above the concrete alley below. He had deliberately chosen not to use any safety equipment, knowing that his audience expected the authentic danger that had made him famous. As Michelle backed up to begin his running approach, he took several deep breaths and psyched himself up for the jump while his audience watched and commented in real time. The live stream captured every moment as he sprinted toward the edge of the building, his arms pumping and his face set with determination. However, as he approached the takeoff point, Michelle's right foot slipped on loose gravel that had accumulated near the roof's edge. The slip threw off Michelle's timing and reduced his speed just enough to make the jump impossible. His momentum carried him off the edge of the building, but he fell short of the opposite rooftop by several feet. The live stream captured his terrified scream as he realized he wasn't going to make it, his arms windmilling desperately as he fell 4 stories into the narrow alley between the buildings. Michelle Morrison struck the concrete below with devastating force, suffering massive trauma that killed him instantly. The live stream didn't cut immediately. One of the rooftop cameras kept transmitting, its feed showing the alley below for several minutes, while stunned viewers tried to understand what they had just seen. The live stream footage went viral within hours, sparking intense debates about the responsibility of social media platforms for monetizing dangerous content. Curiously, Michelle had posted on social media just hours before the stunt that he was feeling off that day, but decided to go through with it anyway, a detail that sparked endless speculation about whether he had a premonition or was simply having second thoughts. It was March 8, 2017, and the sprawling city of Los Angeles buzzed with the constant activity of content creators, influencers, and aspiring entertainers who had flocked to the entertainment capital seeking fame and fortune. In a converted warehouse studio in the Arts District, ring lights and professional cameras had transformed the industrial space into a content creation hub where dozens of YouTubers and social media personalities filmed their daily videos. Sophia Chen arranged the massive 10-pound burger on the table in front of her, the towering creation of beef patties, cheese, bacon, and condiments, representing a potentially dangerous challenge that she had been planning for weeks. At 26, The food challenge content creator had built a modest following of 2,000 subscribers by attempting extreme eating challenges that pushed the boundaries of human endurance. Her brand was built around being unbreakable, and she had never backed down from a challenge, no matter how dangerous or painful. Sophia's rise to YouTube fame had begun with relatively harmless eating challenges, but the algorithm's demand for increasingly extreme content had led her down a dangerous path. Each video had to be more shocking than the last to maintain her audience's attention. While her channel brought in little more than occasional free meals from restaurants seeking promotion, Sophia was determined to break through to the next level of internet fame. The 10-pound burger challenge represented Sophia's most ambitious attempt yet to gain viral attention and significantly grow her subscriber base. She had been promoting the challenge for weeks on social media, building anticipation among her followers. Her doctor had warned her about the serious health risks of consuming such extreme quantities of food in a short time period, but Sophia had dismissed the concerns as overly cautious. Sophia began filming her challenge by explaining the rules to her audience and showing off the massive burger that she would attempt to consume in 30 minutes. She maintained her characteristic upbeat personality, joking with viewers and building excitement for the challenge while downplaying the serious risks involved. The first few bites went down relatively easily, with Sophia maintaining her composure despite the overwhelming size of the meal. However, by the halfway point, she was visibly struggling, her face flushed and breathing becoming labored. The massive quantity of food was beginning to affect her digestive system and put dangerous pressure on her stomach, but Sophia pushed through the discomfort, determined not to disappoint her viewers. As Sophia reached the 3-quarter mark, the cumulative effect of the enormous meal began causing severe gastric distension and respiratory distress. Her stomach had expanded beyond safe limits, pressing against her diaphragm and making breathing increasingly difficult. By the final quarter, she was in obvious medical distress, but she refused to stop the challenge, driven by her commitment to never backing down. Sophia had decided to stream the challenge live, interacting with viewers as she ate. Toward the final quarter, she collapsed on camera from acute gastric rupture after consuming nearly the entire 10-pound burger. The rupture caused internal bleeding and shock, and she died during the live stream as her small but dedicated audience watched helplessly, unable to call for help because they didn't know her location. The footage sparked international discussions about the dangers of extreme eating challenges and the pressure social media creators face to produce increasingly dangerous content for views. Strangely, Sophia had told her roommate that morning she had a weird feeling about the challenge, but felt she couldn't disappoint her fans, a comment that led to speculation about whether she sensed the danger but felt trapped by her online persona. It was June 22, 2015, and the summer heat shimmered off the abandoned streets of North Philadelphia, where decades of economic decline had left entire neighborhoods dotted with empty buildings and forgotten institutions. One of the most infamous of these was a shuttered state psychiatric complex on the edge of the city, a decaying cluster of wards and tunnels that had been fenced off for years but never fully leveled, drawing urban explorers and thrill-seekers drawn by its dark reputation. Marcus Rodriguez checked his live stream equipment one final time as he prepared to enter the abandoned hospital through a broken window on the ground floor. He connected his small action camera to his phone's hotspot, allowing a low-resolution stream to his channel, the kind of setup his modest audience had come to expect. At 29, the urban exploration streamer had built a dedicated following of around 1,300 subscribers who tuned in to watch his live explorations of supposedly haunted locations throughout the Northeast. His content combined urban exploration with paranormal investigation, creating a unique niche that had attracted both adventure seekers and ghost hunting enthusiasts. Marcus had built his reputation by exploring alone, believing that solo investigations provided a more authentic experience for his viewers. His audience appreciated the genuine fear and vulnerability that came through in his solo streams, and many of his most popular videos featured him spending entire nights alone in abandoned buildings while interacting with his chat in real time. The exploration of the abandoned psychiatric complex had been requested by his viewers for months, with many offering donations and sponsorships to see Marcus tackle what was considered one of the most dangerous and haunted locations in the region. Marcus had spent weeks researching the complex's layout and history, but he had ignored warnings from local authorities about the building's deteriorating condition. The structure had been abandoned for 25 years, and decades of weather damage had left many areas structurally unsound. That night, Marcus began his live stream at midnight, timing his exploration to coincide with peak viewing hours for his audience. Over 2,000 viewers tuned in to watch as he entered the hospital through a broken window, his headlamp illuminating the decay and graffiti that covered the walls. As the night progressed, Marcus decided to explore the basement levels of the hospital, an area that few urban explorers had documented due to its dangerous condition. While investigating the basement morgue, Marcus stepped on rotted floorboards that had been weakened by decades of water damage and structural decay. The boards gave way beneath his weight, and he fell through the floor into the sub-basement level, a fall of approximately 12 feet onto concrete and rusted medical equipment. Marcus Rodriguez was impaled on rusted medical equipment in the sub-basement, suffering internal injuries that caused him to bleed to death over several hours. His phone survived the fall and continued live streaming, though the connection cut in and out from the basement's poor signal. The feed stayed live long enough for viewers to hear him calling weekly for help. Over 2,000 viewers watched helplessly, unable to call for help because while Marcus had revealed he was exploring the old psychiatric complex, he had never shared which building or entry point he used within the sprawling site. Police found Marcus's body 18 hours later, after concerned viewers called authorities. Investigators discovered that Marcus had received a text message from his ex-girlfriend just before entering the basement, asking him to please be safe tonight, a detail that sparked debate about whether the emotional distraction had contributed to his fatal mistake. It was August 3rd, 2018, and the desert heat of Phoenix reached 115 degrees as fitness enthusiasts throughout the city sought air-conditioned gyms and early morning workout times to escape the brutal summer temperatures. In a converted garage in Scottsdale, professional lighting and mirrors had transformed the residential space into a high-end home gym where social media content was created alongside serious training. Ashley Thompson arranged her supplement bottles and workout equipment while checking the camera angles for her planned live stream, preparing for what she had promoted as her most intense fitness challenge yet. At 24, the fitness influencer had built a modest but loyal following on social media, enough to sell small batches of her own pre-workout blend and secure a few sponsorships with local fitness brands. Ashley's brand was built around promoting a no-excuses mentality and natural fitness, though she had been secretly using performance-enhancing substances for over a year to maintain her competitive edge. The pressure to maintain her physique while creating increasingly extreme content had led her to experiment with dangerous combinations of stimulants and supplements, many of which were untested and potentially lethal. Her upcoming Ultimate Endurance Challenge had been promoted for weeks as a 4-hour marathon workout session designed to showcase her new pre-workout supplement formula. Ashley had been experimenting with her own pre-workout blend, combining over-the-counter stimulants and concentrated caffeine powders without realizing how dangerously they interacted. The homemade formula delivered a massive dose of energy, but also carried the risk of heart arrhythmia and collapse under stress. That morning, Ashley had taken multiple doses of her untested pre-workout formula, far exceeding safe levels. She had also been restricting her food and water intake for days to achieve maximum muscle definition, leaving her body dehydrated and vulnerable. Ashley began live streaming her Ultimate Endurance Challenge to thousands of viewers, explaining her workout plan while maintaining her characteristic high-energy personality. As the workout progressed, Ashley pushed through increasingly intense exercises while ignoring symptoms of dehydration, elevated heart rate, and dangerous blood pressure spikes. 2 hours into the challenge, Ashley's heart rate had spiked to dangerous levels, but she continued the workout. The stimulants had created a feedback loop where she felt invincible despite her body's systems beginning to fail. Her speech became rapid and erratic, but viewers assumed it was excitement rather than signs of stimulant toxicity. Ashley collapsed during a deadlift attempt, suffering a massive heart attack as her cardiovascular system finally failed under the combined assault of stimulants, dehydration, and extreme exertion. The live stream captured her convulsions as thousands of viewers watched helplessly. Ashley's phone revealed she had Googled heart palpitations from pre-workout just hours before the live stream, but decided to proceed anyway, a search that became a haunting reminder of the warning signs she chose to ignore. It was December 12th, 2014, and the holiday shopping season had transformed the Millennium Mall in Orlando into a bustling hub of activity, with thousands of families and tourists navigating the crowded corridors in search of perfect gifts. The mall's multiple levels and numerous stores created a complex environment where security teams worked constantly to maintain order and safety among the dense crowds. Tyler Johnson adjusted his hidden cameras while reviewing his plan for what he called the ultimate mall prank, a risky setup using replica weapons meant to capture people's real reactions to what looked like a dangerous situation. At 21, the small-time prank creator had built a modest online following through risky public stunts that often skirted the line between humor and harassment. Tyler's content had evolved from harmless practical jokes to more aggressive pranks that bordered on harassment and assault. Driven by the algorithm's demand for increasingly shocking content, his audience craved more extreme reactions, and Tyler had become addicted to the adrenaline rush of creating chaos and the recognition that came with viral videos. His friends and family had repeatedly warned him that his pranks were becoming too realistic and dangerous, but Tyler dismissed their concerns as overcautious. The pressure to create viral content had led Tyler to plan his most ambitious prank yet, involving realistic replica firearms and a staged robbery scenario in the busy shopping mall. He had purchased the fake weapons online and had spent weeks planning the logistics of the prank, including camera placement and escape routes. Tyler convinced himself that the shocking nature of the prank could finally make his channel go viral. He had recruited several friends to help with the prank, though most backed out after hearing the full plan. Tyler never contacted mall security or police, certain he could control the situation once the cameras were rolling. He told himself that if he revealed it was a prank fast enough, security would laugh it off, a dangerous mix of arrogance and inexperience that blinded him to how real the threat would appear. That afternoon, Tyler entered the crowded mall with multiple replica firearms concealed in his clothing, planning to stage a fake robbery scenario while his hidden cameras captured people's reactions. He had chosen the busy holiday shopping period specifically because he wanted maximum crowds and the most dramatic reactions possible. Tyler began his prank by approaching the jewelry store and pulling out what appeared to be a realistic handgun, shouting commands at the employees and customers while his hidden cameras recorded their terrified reactions. The replica weapon was indistinguishable from a real firearm, and the panic that ensued was immediate and genuine. Shoppers screamed and fled in all directions while store employees activated silent alarms. Mall security responded within seconds to reports of an armed robbery in progress, with multiple guards converging on the jewelry store with weapons drawn. Tyler had not anticipated how quickly security would respond or how realistic his fake weapons would appear to trained professionals. When Tyler saw the armed security guards approaching, he reached for his phone to explain that it was just a prank and show them his YouTube channel. However, the guards interpreted his movement as reaching for another weapon, and they opened fire to protect the hundreds of innocent shoppers in the immediate area. Tyler was struck multiple times and died instantly. His camera continued recording as the scene unfolded. The footage was later recovered from his device and circulated online, sparking outrage about the growing danger of extreme prank culture. Tyler's browser history revealed he had researched mall security response times and fake gun laws in the days before the prank, suggesting he knew the risks, but proceeded anyway. Details that fueled debates about personal responsibility versus the pressure to create viral content. It was September 7th, 2013, and the golden hour light bathed the volcanic cliffs of Santorini in warm hues as tourists from around the world gathered at scenic overlooks to capture the island's legendary sunsets. The Greek island's dramatic landscape, formed by ancient volcanic activity, created some of the most photographed vistas in the Mediterranean, drawing millions of visitors annually to its precarious cliff-edge viewpoints. The combination of stunning beauty and dangerous terrain made Santorini a magnet for travel influencers seeking the perfect shot. Emma Wilson adjusted her camera settings while scouting the most dramatic angle for her sunset photography session, balancing precariously on the volcanic rock formations that jutted out over the Aegean Sea several hundred feet below. At 27, the travel blogger had built a successful online presence with thousands of followers who eagerly consumed her breathtaking photography and adventurous travel content from exotic locations around the world. Her fearless approach to travel photography had become her signature, often positioning herself in dangerous locations for shots that other influencers wouldn't attempt. Emma's rise to travel blogging success had been fueled by her willingness to take risks that others avoided, creating content that stood out in an increasingly crowded field of travel influencers. Her Instagram feed was filled with death-defying photos taken from cliff edges, mountain peaks, and other precarious locations that showcased both her bravery and the stunning destinations she visited. Emma's modest but growing online presence had earned her small travel collaborations and sponsored stays that allowed her to keep exploring new destinations. The dramatic nature of her content drew consistent attention online and helped her gradually build a recognizable niche in the travel community. The competitive nature of travel influencing had created pressure for Emma to constantly outdo her previous content and compete with other creators for the most spectacular shots. Each photo had to be more dramatic and breathtaking than the last to maintain her audience's attention and satisfy the brands that sponsored her travels. Her current trip to Santorini was sponsored by a luxury resort that expected high-quality content showcasing the island's beauty. Emma had spent the afternoon scouting locations for the perfect sunset shot, eventually settling on a precarious outcropping of volcanic rock that extended beyond the main cliff face. The location offered an unobstructed view of the sunset and ocean, but required careful navigation across unstable volcanic tuff that had been eroded by wind and water over the years. Local guides had warned tourists about the dangers of venturing beyond the established viewpoints, but Emma was determined to capture something unique. As the golden hour approached, Emma set up her camera equipment on the rocky outcropping and began taking photos of herself against the dramatic backdrop of the Santorini sunset. She used a combination of timer shots and remote triggers to capture herself in various poses while the sun descended toward the horizon. The lighting was perfect, and Emma was excited about the content she was creating for her sponsors and followers. Emma positioned herself closer and closer to the edge of the cliff, trying to get the perfect shot that would showcase both her fearless personality and the stunning natural beauty of the location. Each photo required her to move further out on the unstable volcanic rock, but Emma was focused on the artistic vision and the potential viral impact of the images she was creating. While adjusting her position for what she hoped would be the perfect shot, Emma stepped on a section of volcanic rock that had been weakened by recent weather and erosion. The rock crumbled beneath her feet without warning, and she lost her balance as the ground literally disappeared beneath her. Her camera continued recording in video mode, capturing her terrified scream as she fell several hundred feet to the jagged rocks below. Emma Wilson died instantly from the impact, her body found hours later by rescue teams who had been alerted by other tourists who witnessed the fall. Her camera equipment was recovered intact, and the footage became evidence in discussions about influencer safety and the pressure to create increasingly dangerous content for social media. Emma's final Instagram story, posted just minutes before the accident, showed her expressing how she was living her best life and taking risks for the perfect shot, words that became a haunting epitaph for the dangers of social media fame. Thanks for watching these tragic stories of influencers whose fame turned deadly. Click the next video to discover more shocking stories.